And welcome to the inaugural episode of the Body and Mind Sports Show. I am your host, The Mind, and with me is my co-host, The Body. Body, welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Mind.
Today we got a whole whackload of topics. Basically, on this show, we will talk about anything that's related to sports. Today, though, here's the topics that we'll be covering. So we'll be looking at week one of the NFL, so we're going to review that. We'll also be doing a preview of week two of NFL action. And then we'll be talking some baseball. In segment 4, we'll be talking a bit about the upcoming, the latest boxing match of the century, which will be Canelo versus Golovkin. And finally, we'll end our show with our weekly epic and suck of the week, where we tell you what we think is epic and what we think sucks.
Fantastic.
So, Body, let's start off with our first topic. So let's review week one of the NFL. So the first game we got to review here is Kansas City and New England.
Oh, this one blew me away. I was with everyone thinking New England was going to beat them for sure.
I did.
Alex Smith throws the ball down the field.
Okay,
amazing.
How did this happen?
I don't know.
When did Alex Smith learn to throw a football?
This blows my mind because Alex Smith, for years, when people were panning him, I believed in the guy. And then last year, in the playoff game against Pittsburgh, there were so many chances to go down the field and he wouldn't. I had even given up on Alex Smith.
I was disgusted by that.
I was done.
And I threw up.
And then he came out Thursday. Well, I threw out a ticket because I had the chefs. So I might have thrown up after that and just like erased it from my memory. But yeah, he came out gunning, and maybe this is a product of having the rookie quarterback there. But yeah, he came out, and it was the same thing I hear, because every year I hear the same thing from Alex Smith. I'm going to throw the ball down the field. And then I see this 5-yard check down, which isn't throwing the ball down the field.
Yeah.
No, he came out slinging it against the Patriots.
So you figure that the young buck at number 2, the young quarterback they drafted this year, that he's the one that's putting pressure on Smith to be the best that he can be.
I think that's part of it. And the young running back, Hunt, yeah, he was amazing.
That was
against
insane.
Patriots.
Yeah.
Yes.
Who did people predict this? Did they think that this guy Hunt was actually that good?
No, I think they thought they might have been sunk with the injury.
Yeah, like well, who was supposed to be their starting quarterback? Wasn't it supposed to be West, or what's going on? Is he injured?
Out for the year.
Out for the year.
Year.
That'll do it. Goes to show how much I follow the KC, which is not at all. Especially after they lost in that playoff game last year, and I think it cost me a bet, so I'm kind of mad at them.
Yeah, I know you're feeling. Yeah. Like I said, I tore up a ticket.
So you figure, yeah, so you're impressed by KC. Do you think they can continue this going? Are they for real? Does he keep happening?
I think they're for real.
Yeah.
And it makes me angry because I'm a Raider fan.
That's true.
They're in my division, but I got to give them their credit. I think they have very good defense.
Yeah.
And it's got an incredible running game. And if they actually keep throwing the ball down the field, they're going to be a scary team this year.
All right. Well, we're going to be previewing week 2 pretty soon, segment 2. So we'll get your thoughts on their game then. Next game that we have from week 1 is Jets-Buffalo. Do we care?
State of New York even care.
We're skipping that game. Next, we got Atlanta-Chicago. Do we care?
A little bit.
Yeah, really. Why do we care?
Well, I looked at this game, and where the Falcons playing down to their competition and getting over the Super Bowl hangover, or is Chicago going to be tough this year? I look at the Bears, and I like their defense.
Yeah.
I like their running game. I don't like the receiving crew. I think Glennon's serviceable. Drop passes killed them late in that game against Atlanta. Chicago, to me, looks like a team that might play quite a few tight games, but they're not going to win many of them. But if teams let down in any particular week, they could be straight for an upset.
Okay. So you think that there's some hope for optimism in Chicago this year?
Hope for optimism for improvement. Hope for optimism for a playoff spot? No.
Okay. That's fair enough. With Atlanta, I guess we just got the whole question is this a defeated, beaten down team after that horrifying crushing in the Super Bowl, or is this the angry team looking for vengeance on everyone?
We'll find out more week 2 against Green Bay, and we'll get to that later.
Boom. Next, we have Pittsburgh and Cleveland. Why do we care?
Browns look improved.
They do. They actually look like a football team.
It was amazing.
I was frightened. I actually dropped my bowl of Cheerios when I was watching this game.
I was stupefied.
The Browns actually got a first down, and it didn't take them until quarter four to do it.
I believe they were actually stringing together consecutive first downs.
Oh no!
I nearly fell out of my chair.
I freaking dropped cereal for it.
I was amazed.
I have no words. The English language doesn't have a word. Stupefied would be close, but that doesn't convey enough emotion of what I felt. To actually see the Brownies actually resemble a team.
I hope this isn't just a week one overreaction. I hope this is a sign of things to come because Cleveland fans have suffered for a long time.
I've suffered for a long time. I'm not even a Cleveland fan. But they're on TV every week.
They are, yeah.
I don't know how that happens. They're a terrible team. They've sucked since Jim Brown.
Pretty much.
And they are always on TV. So it's like, for the love of God, will you put on a decent team out there? Even though they're called the Browns and they wear orange.
I don't know what to make of that.
USA.
That may be the lack of
USA.
indecisiveness that just reflects the whole franchise.
And my general rant for Cleveland will always be, get a logo. I don't care what it is. If you just want to have an orange on the side of your helmet, at least it's an orange. But do something. Give me a logo.
Well, I'd never thought about this until you mentioned the wearing the orange and the Browns. How can you coordinate a whole franchise and a plan to build like this whole operation when you cannot figure out your color scheme?
Maybe that's part of the grief that they've been having all these years.
It all starts at the top.
It starts at the top. But we don't.
Oh no. We
going,
start at the bottom and we stay right there and keep digging.
Oh, you speaking of bottom dwellers, how about we go to Detroit? Hey, the city's bankrupt. And so has their team been for pretty much their entire history.
Oh man.
However, this week, what happened? Arizona, Detroit. What the hey?
Be interesting to see. Can Detroit push Green Bay? They've pushed Green Bay before. I don't see them winning the division, but can they have one of those years where they push Green Bay, or is it just an 8-8 year in Detroit? They have some talent there. And is this a product of Detroit playing well, or is this Arizona just slipping and finally falling out of any ideal contention?
Well, that's the thing. You know my feelings on Arizona. All these years, I've never been a believer. It's like I've seen that they've improved and they're a better team, but I've never bought in that they're an actual legitimate Super Bowl contender. I don't know what it is. I can't explain it. But there's something about that team that I just feel that they cannot get over that hump. That there's something missing. Well, I think it's quarterback.
Well, Carson Palmer already proved me wrong. I was telling you before the show started that, he had changed his off-season program and took it easy on the throwing. And maybe that will improve this year. I believe he threw for about 170 yards or something this week.
Oh, yeah?
I'll double check. I think I threw for more like throwing at the garbage can from my chair this weekend.
170 yards. Well, he's still like twice as good as Steve DeBerg was at the end.
Oh, Steve DeBerg. Yeah,
but we did have some Steve DeBerg performances this week.
Oh, we did. Oh, we did.
For those of you unfamiliar with good old Steve DeBerg, this is someone whose regular season stats, his stats per game.
Oh, correction. Palmer is 268. I don't know where I got 170 from, but yeah.
We never let the facts get in the way
of a good story. No. So get used to it.
Exactly. But Steve DeBerg, for those of you unfamiliar, this was a legendary NFL quarterback whose stats per game would resemble something like this. He would be 8 for 12 and about 90 yards passing for the whole game. That's Steve DeBerg's stats.
Back in the old days, they would call that efficient. Realistically, Noah's not getting anything done.
Nowadays, I call that suicide watch. So, next we have Jacksonville, Houston. So, here's a case of the suck versus an epic.
Oh, love that Jacksonville defense.
Uh-huh.
Might even have the suck and the epic together in the same team here, because that Jacksonville offense, I don't know how well it's going to play this year. I know Blake Bortles has taken a lot of abuse, and you can find better, but for all the abuse I've heard heaped upon Bortles, man, I've seen a lot worse around the league at quarterback, and we'll discuss it. Some of it on the other side of the field, the Macho Man Tom Savage there.
Oh, man.
I haven't seen the Macho Man take that much abuse since Jake the Snake Roberts DDT'd him 5 times. The Houston offensive line didn't protect them. The Houston offense did its usual thing, which is pretty much nothing. I don't get why people rave about this team every year and say they're just missing a quarterback. And when I see the talent, I understand that. They have Hopkins at wide receiver.
Mm-hmm.
Their running game should be okay with Lamar Miller. They have great defensive players and a very good defense. But honestly, this team's a perennial ballpark 9-7. And every year I hear people talking about them like they're the next big thing. To me, like, they're the modern day team version of Jeff Fisher. Well, actually, they're better than Fisher because Fisher used to be 7-9. But you can make a case that September 7th could be Houston Texan Day because 9th month, 7th day. There you go.
Well, I'll say this: I do believe that if they actually had a competent quarterback, an actual real quarterback,
they would be much better.
That they could do some damage, because that defense of theirs, providing that both Clowney and J.J. Watt can play together, and jury's out on this one, because we know that J.J. Watt is phenomenal, and we've seen that Clowney without Watt, it turns out he's also phenomenal. But together, I don't know what it is. Clowney, I don't know if he's like feels that he's got to perform more, or he's intimidated by having JJ on the other side, or what it is, but he is not the same man as when JJ is out of the lineup.
No, that's been the case so far. And the other thing, for all the hype of the Houston defense this year, they lost Quentin Demps, who's a good safety, and they lost A.J. Boyd, who's a very underrated corner, who, by the way, went to Jacksonville. When I look at that Jacksonville defense, there's legitimate playmakers on every level. Defensive line, linebacker. And then they have two potential young shutdown corners in Boye and Ramsey. That defense could be quite incredible and quite special. People talk about how talented they may be, but if they play up to their potential, and it's hard to judge because Houston's offense has been questionable to say the least, but if that's even half an indication, that could be an incredible defense this year.
So so it looks like for Jacksonville, all the drafting that they've been doing for the last 10, 12 years is finally coming to fruition.
Yeah, they remind me a lot of, I'd say it was roughly the 97 Buccaneers when Tony Dungy first got there. Really good defense. They have a couple more veterans than they had on defense in Tampa Bay back then, but an extremely good young defense coming together. And just like this Tampa Bay teams, they had a first-round quarterback who's a bust who they wanted to just stay out of the way, named Trent Dilfer. And Jacksonville has Bortles. Remind me a lot of those young Tampa Bay teams.
Except Bortles has talent.
This is true.
So, speaking of talent, next on the docket, we've got Oakland and Tennessee. Apparently, you were happy with this game.
I was elated. I had serious question about my Raiders' run defense. They played well. The offense, beast mode, a lot of people had questions about it. I had faith.
Obviously, they carry Skittles in Oakland.
Oh, they carry him madly now, I would think. The thing I thought Lynch would bring to them, even if he's just 3 quarters to old for him, was something that stuck out of me last year. Late in the year, end of the year, Oakland went into Denver. And if anyone remembers Akeem Talib pretty much street mugging Michael Crabtree, taking his chain, and the Raiders, they just did nothing. And I'll say this, like, obviously football isn't like hockey, and even hockey's changed over years. You're not going to go and punch a guy out for doing something like that. But having a guy like Lynch there now gives your team an attitude and some elbow grease. And if something like that happens, I think the Raiders respond in a much different way now just with Lynch's presence. And I think his presence makes a bigger difference there than it will in the running game. So just in giving them an attitude.
So it's take no prisoners, don't care about anything or anyone.
Give me my Skittles and get out of my way.
Get out of my way attitude is rubbing off on the rest of the Raiders.
Yeah, I believe so.
Love it. Love it. Next, we got Philadelphia, Washington. Do we care? No, I don't give a shit.
If you care about the NFC East, I guess. But,
I don't care. Moving on. We've got Indianapolis and the LA Rams.
This is an interesting matchup because last year before training camp, Jared Goff didn't know where the sun set, and this year Chuck Pagano doesn't know who he's playing for every week. I don't know if Pagano didn't realize he was playing the 49ers when he talked about them kicking their ass, or if he's just preparing for his week 5 post-game speech when the 49ers do kick their ass. Congratulations, Chuck. Good job.
Wow.
Indy doesn't have talent. Their coach doesn't know where he is. Yeah, this isn't going to turn out well. Even when Andrew Luck comes back, they'll win some games if he comes back, but it doesn't look promising in
Well,
Indy.
I'm hopeful. I hope at least Pagano for week number 2, he has a good solid game plan for when he faces the Saskatchewan Roughriders. That's what they're playing, right?
Does he even know if they're in Regina or at home? Does he even know where he is?
Oh my lord, Indianapolis. They're basically a high school team.
Does he even have GPS in his car? Does he have like a paper map?
Actually, I apologize to high school football teams comparing you to Indianapolis because you're better than that.
Especially in Texas.
Oise. Next, we got Seattle and Green Bay. Why did we care about this game?
You know, I saw this game. An old problem came to mind for Seattle. Their offensive line didn't protect Wilson. Offensive line was horrible. I thought that defense was brilliant, but you can only stay on the field so long when your offense isn't moving the ball and the offense wasn't moving the ball.
I think shaving cream would have protected Wilson better than that offensive line this week.
Oh, I agree. I agree.
And not even good, not even like Gillette or anything. I'm talking about no-name brand at the bottom barrel of the store. Like you can get 10 for $1 shaving cream.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I would agree with that.
The thinnest, harshest shave you'll ever get. But that would have protected you better
than the Seattle offensive line.
That offensive line.
And I know some people criticized Aaron Rodgers this week. Some people did, saying they thought the Green Bay offense wasn't that effective. I think that was more of the Seattle defense. I look at them. They picked up Richardson. They've got a great front four. They've got their usual great linebackers. And I believe their draft pick, Shaq Griffin at corner, is probably given them their best corner opposite of Richard Sherman since Byron Maxwell. That other corner spot hasn't been horrible, but it's been kind of a revolving door since the days of Brandon Browner and then Byron Maxwell. And I think he looks like he's gonna be pretty effective. I think that Seattle defense is back, and I think that's a big reason why Rodgers wasn't on. And honestly, Rodgers sometimes doesn't really catch fire till later in the year sometimes.
Hey, relax.
I am relaxed.
From the mouth of the man himself, relax.
And I would say what I said actually confirms that. I wouldn't get worked up about Rodgers' first game. I think a lot of that's the Seattle defense.
And we won't. Next, we got Carolina, San Francisco. You want to talk about Shanahan here in this game?
Oh, man, yeah. I didn't see this play. I heard someone describe it, but
so it must be true.
Oh, of course. It was a guy on a Vegas sports betting show, so this is a guy who must be feeling frustration.
If you can't trust that source, who can you trust?
I'm a man filled with trust. I wake up and I feel nothing but trust.
I'm trusting that this will work.
Oh yeah, so am I. I don't know if you should trust me,
but you trust Shanahan.
Well, no, I trust not to trust Shanahan. There was apparently one play where San Francisco was around the 3-yard line. Now, you look at this guy's history last year with the Super Bowl debacle and not running the ball. Apparently, they're around the 2 or 3 yard line, and he calls a play where apparently they throw a 2 or 3 yard lateral to Carlos Hyde where he's at the 5. So now instead of Hyde running 3 yards or even 5 yards just from a set position in a power backfield, he now has to run 5 yards to the goal line.
That's wisdom.
Yeah, well, yeah.
That is the kind of like out of the box thinking that will set Shanahan apart from every other coach. It might also set him apart from everyone else on the unemployment line, but it makes a statement.
It makes a statement. He's a man set in his ways, no matter how wrong they are. Kind of like me.
Speaking of wrong,
I should become a fan.
Speaking of wrong, this week we had the Gigantes going into Dallas. Why was Eli so good this week?
Well, the offensive line was brilliant. His receivers were brilliant. Eli was brilliant. McAdoo, the former offensive coordinator who's a head coach who can't get a team to score 20 points in 6 straight games in this era, he was brilliant. Brilliant. This team is amazing.
So will they be amazingly 0-16?
Well, Beckham will come back at some point and they'll win some games, but oh man,
I heard he wants $22 million per year contract.
I would have thought that's outrageous until I saw the Giants this week. No one's worth 22 mil, but
So you think that their incompetence will be his ace in the hole to get...
Their incompetence just blew the market out of the water.
Oh my lord.
I don't think he'll get the 22 mil. I don't think he deserves 22 mil, but the Giants are helping him make a case for it.
I'll say this, those contract negotiations, that would be must-see TV.
Oh, man. Well, it'd be more entertaining than watching their offense right now.
Oh, boom. Next, we've got New Orleans and Minnesota. Why do we care about this game? Is it just to roast Adrian Peterson?
Basically.
All right, let's do that.
And roast is appropriate because he looked done like dinner. He didn't get many carries.
Well, what did he carry, like 3-4 times?
Yeah, so maybe we shouldn't be judging, but
I think we can.
Yeah, well,
I'm going to judge.
There's a reason Minnesota let him walk and didn't give him an offer.
Exactly. It's like he was there, and he's angry at them for it. This is what I don't get. This guy is in Minnesota for like a dozen years or whatever, and now he's angry that they let him go. It's like, what do you think is going to happen, man? Eventually, every team is going to let you go.
Well,
like, there's precious few players outside of quarterbacks. How many players manage to actually? Okay, quarterbacks and offensive linemen. Who else would play an entire career for one team outside of those positions?
Doesn't happen.
Doesn't happen. Everybody else eventually they leave for one reason or another. So yeah, Minnesota saw that they got this good young guy ready to go. They're willing to give him a shot, and they figure AP, hey man, there's only so many knee surgeries you can handle, and eventually those all come to roost.
Mm-hmm.
So made sense. He went to New Orleans, a team starving for offense. They could always use more players on the offensive side.
Because, why find them for defense?
Defense.
It's just a formality.
That's nothing. That doesn't put butts in the seats. It's offense. That sells tickets, my friend. And Drew Brees gets, 5,000 yards a season? That's nothing. The real man gets 6,000. Mm-hmm. That's what AP is going to give him. Or not.
Yeah, this isn't bad taste, but if AP's that bad, mad at the Vikings, he better keep his kids away from him for a while.
Jeez. Lastly, we have the Clippers. The Clippers against Denver.
The LA Clippers. We've talked about this before, so just to introduce this to people, you see the LAC initial sometimes with the Chargers, and the first thing I thought, and the mind thought this as well, was the LA Clippers. So we will refer to them naturally as the Clippers.
Oh, seriously, whenever I look at a sports sheet and I see the initials LAC, Los Angeles Clippers, boom, that's what comes to my head.
Yes.
So why, in the name of the Almighty, did the Chargers, first of all, they go to Los Angeles, like, wait a minute, they just got another team, the Rams, who are getting 10,000 people a game?
Yeah, they're not even selling out the first team.
Like, heavens to Moigatroyd. So you already got an LA team. Now you go get another one, and you're going to use the exact same initials as the local basketball team. Come on, people. Marketing, work with me. People, who's the Clippers marketing here, or the Chargers?
I don't know, but they suffered a heartbreaking 3-point loss, missing a 3 at the end against the Nuggets on Monday.
Yeah. So yeah, Clippers, get some 3-pointers on your team. And that is segment 1. That is our review of week 1 of the NFL. Up next, we got week 2 preview. Starting with the preview. First game is the Thursday nighter. We've got Houston and Cincinnati. Oh, what a battle this will be.
Oh, man. This game could single-handedly send the league back to 1977.
Well, apparently you have a triple hate-on for this game, because the word on the street is apparently you're not a big fan of Thursday night games.
Oh, no, I'm not a big fan of Thursday night games. I just don't like the 4 days off. Some games turn out okay. I find them a lot. There's a couple things about Thursday night games I don't like. One, I find sometimes they're sloppier off the 4 days, and honestly, some of the Thursday night matchups are just horrible. See some real classics, and this one fits in perfectly with the Thursday night tradition.
And having the color rush, that just makes them all the better.
Oh, I hope the color rush is gone this year.
I haven't gone this year. I don't know if it is. Let's pretend it's not here.
Yeah, because I would have referred to that more as the color flush.
Yeah, it'll make me happier. I won't have to wear sunglasses then.
Yeah, so yeah, Thursday nights I didn't like.
Apparently, you don't like Houston either.
Yeah, I'm not a big Houston. I just the things I was talking about week one there. I mean, if
It applies to week 2.
yeah, it's interesting. You see some of these teams like the Giants and Houston, and you have these offensive head coaches, and their offenses are actually quite offensive to watch.
Oh yeah, the Houston is very offensive.
Yeah.
And speaking of offensive, what about their opponents?
Oh,
The mighty Cincinnati Bengals.
oh man.
How is it even possible for a football team to be shut out? Being shut out, I would think that in the game of football, like being shut out, I don't know, in soccer, sure, it's possible.
Hockey, yeah.
In hockey, why not? It's a shutout. People love shutouts. In baseball, boom, yeah, people celebrate it, ironically enough. But in football, you get a big goose egg and at your home opener. First game of the season, everyone's excited. Even for teams that went 0-16, even they're excited to have their first game home opener of the season. And yet the Bengals go lay a gigantic 0 in their first game. And who do I blame for all this? I still blame Marvin Lewis.
Your boy.
I don't know why he's still coaching this team. As far as I'm concerned, his time with the Bengals was done 3 years ago. He took this team as far as he could go, and it was time for them to thank Marvin for his service, but to boot him out the door as fast as possible. Now he's still there, and we're still seeing the same incompetent Bengals. Blah!
Yeah, I agree with you about Marvin. And even though as an NFL coach, I'm sure he's got a sweet ride, I even would have handed a bus fare just to get him out the door quicker. Just
it's done.
Yeah.
Go coach Indianapolis. At least Marvin knows who he plays each week.
He does.
Next, we have Cleveland and Baltimore coming up in week 2. Why do we care about this game?
What do we see from the Browns in their first game on the road? Can they have 2 straight solid games? Can they play well on the road?
Yep.
It's going to be interesting to see what can the kid Deshaun Kaiser do against Baltimore. And is Baltimore's defense that good, or was it just because they played Cincinnati?
So there's the thing. So it'll be a good test to see if Baltimore can keep this up, and it'll be a good test to see if Cleveland can continue what appears to be a rise in their game. But they seem to be on the way up. This will prove it whether or not this is for real.
Yeah, never say never. Anything can happen. I'm confident Baltimore win, but the question might be, barring the upset, how close can Cleveland actually keep this game? I think even they say there's no moral victories in the NFL, but I think if Cleveland even keeps this close, they have to be reasonably happy with the progress.
All right. Next, we got Buffalo, Carolina. Do we care?
No.
No. Next, Arizona and Indianapolis. Oh, sweet baby Jesus. The only thing we're going to talk about this game is how much will Arizona win by?
It'll be more if Tolzien starts over Bissett. I
don't even think Bissett is any good either.
No, but he might be better than Tolzien.
Could Arizona win by 50? I mean, the Rams almost did it.
No, that's true.
I mean, Arizona, with or without Johnson there, 50, 100? Could they get 100 points?
It's a good question.
This is going to be a college score.
Not so much well, the thing is, though, does Arizona play down their opposition? Which, if they do, they only win this one by 20.
How could you possibly... No NFL team. I would even bet the Jets against Indianapolis right now.
Yeah, so would I.
Because at least the Jets, I think, actually have a running back, whereas Indianapolis doesn't even have that.
No, they have nothing.
They have nothing.
They have nothing.
Arizona, college score.
You and I could find 20 other guys, 9 guys to line up with us on one side of the ball, 11 to line up on the other, just off the street.
Off the street.
Just slobs like us, and I think we got a shot against Indianapolis.
And even in our street clothes, not even pads.
Well, we'll know who we're playing.
Next, we got Tennessee and Jacksonville. Why do we care about this game between 2 franchises that have been a disgrace for the last 10 years?
I'm on the Jaguar bandwagon, betting-wise anyways.
You're betting on America's team.
Betting on America's team.
Nice.
Tennessee's going to be a tough game for them. They have a shot, but I still have trouble seeing why Tennessee's a favorite in this one.
That's very odd. There's a lot of people believing in the resurgence of Tennessee, that all their moves that they did over the last couple of seasons, that this is a team on the rise, and that Marcus Mariota is going to be one of the top 10 quarterbacks in the league before the year's out.
Yeah, well, it's a 50-50 proposition how it turns out with those teams because sometimes they meet expectations and sometimes they falter. As a matter of fact, last year there was two teams that fit that description and one went each way. Oakland met the expectations,
Yep.
and ironically, the same Jaguars were the disappointment with the same building.
Very true. So this will be a good test game for both teams.
It will.
Next, we got Philadelphia and Kansas City. Why do we care?
Quickly, for anyone who bets or anything on this,
Betting?
betting. Oh yeah,
Betting's wrong, kids. Don't bet.
that's right.
Continue.
But adults, continue on. Just don't take my advice seriously. I'm looking
Or
at
at
this
all.
game. Touche.
I didn't say that.
Looking at this game, I think the Eagles will improve this year, but I just there's a track history of NFC teams walking in Arrowhead and just getting destroyed. Yeah, it's just they're not used to it.
It's a graveyard.
It is a graveyard.
It's a graveyard.
I know you have Seattle now in the NFC for the last few years, which gives you the same type of overwhelming noise and intimidation. But there's just something about walking to Kansas City, especially when you're not used to it, and it's just really unkind to NFC teams.
I think the lush green lawn of Chef's Field is fertilized by the decaying bones of their enemies that have shown up there over the years.
Great googly moogly. That was well described.
Thank you, fan. So we believe in KC, not so much in Philly.
No.
Next, we got angry New England going into hapless New Orleans. Which new team is going to win?
Wow, there's a lot of new going on here
It's-
with the same old quarterbacks.
The two oldest quarterbacks playing for new teams.
I think both of them want to play till they're 45.
Why not? Why
Sure.
stop at 45? Randy Couture fought till he was 45 in the UFC. Cage fighting's got to be harder than the NFL. I would think.
It might be for Breeze if he keeps playing on the Saints.
Oh, boom. There we go. There we go.
I'm looking at this game, and the natural thing is to think New England should win, but there are some concerns. That defense did not play well last week, especially losing Hightower. It's hard to think Belichick's going to let this happen 2 straight weeks.
Mm-hmm.
So the question is, do the Patriots come back in their traditional manner off a loss? Or is that defense really something to be concerned about? And going to New Orleans is going to be a really good test. The other part of this is, I envision a shootout, and everyone does, but at the same time, I have this weird gut feeling this game might not be as high scoring as everyone thinks.
That's the weird part is,
I don't
how
think
many times have we seen that where we see two high-powered offenses and everybody gets their popcorn and they're ready to watch and they have, boom, ready to plant themselves in front of the TV for 4 hours of madness, and it becomes a defensive struggle.
Yeah, with this game it's weird because logically I see a shootout, but there's just a weird feeling. I don't see 10-9, of course, but I think the over-under is around 55, and I don't know if I see it getting there.
Yeah. I think it's going to be the angry New England Patriots dishing it out to New Orleans.
By the way, Brandon Cooks returns to New Orleans too.
There's another angry man with something to prove.
Yeah, he'll be playing against the draft picks they traded for.
And it's,
Great deal, Saints.
and speaking of angry, the over-under might be Adrian Peterson and Coach. Will they actually fight this time? Will it be fisticuffs?
Oh,
Will it be
are we going with like Queen of Marquee rules?
Will it go exactly? Will it go beyond just mere words in the Queen of Marquee? Of course, they both need better mustaches if they're going to fight like that.
Yes.
Next, we have us Minnesota.
Though I give
Pittsburgh.
Peterson an edge, not just is he a bigger physical specimen, but
Yeah.
Peyton actually has hair to grab.
Oh, good thought. See, winning analysis. Next, we have Pittsburgh and Minnesota. Why in the world do we even care about this game?
I don't know what, but I think these are two legitimate outside contenders. I don't see them as Super Bowl favorites, but if there's a fall off with New England, Pittsburgh could be in the mix.
Yeah.
Though, I mean, Kansas City looked really good week 1, but it's week 1. We have 16 weeks of madness to go.
You know,
Minnesota,
being a Bengals fan, I can't stand Pittsburgh. I don't want to talk about them
okay.
no more.
And is Sam Bradford for real for Minnesota?
Go Minnesota. Even though I hate Sam Bradford because he cost me a bet once.
Oh yes, you've told me about the rage.
Yeah.
That should be your triple threat of hate. Find one more thing, you've got triple threat of hate in that thing.
Sam Bradford on his own it gives me triple threat of hate. Chicago and Tampa Bay. Why do we care? Is it because it's Tampa Bay's first game in week 2?
Yes, that is one of the reasons. The other interesting thing I'm looking at, if this will come into factor or not, is Mike Glenn's starting for the Bears. Now, Mike Glenn's serviceable. You see this be a factor sometimes, and sometimes it might be how teams prepare. I'm wondering if Chicago can take good enough advantage of what I'm going to say here. And even if they can, do they even have the talent to stick with Tampa? But Glennon, knowing that Tampa offense, could it help that Bears defense prepare? I mean, he knows enough about that Tampa offense that if he could pass that along to that defense, they might come up and know what Tampa's calling when they're calling the play.
That'll be interesting because that'll be a big ask for Tampa Bay's basically offensive coordinator to figure out how to get around that. They're going to know that, yeah, Glennon was there. He went to all the meetings. I assume he went to the meetings.
He was the backup quarterback.
Unless that's why they shipped him out, because he never did attend a meeting. That'll make their job a lot easier. But so that's always an interesting little parameter is when, yeah, you have the former quarterback for facing his old team, and now he's leading it. That, yeah, passing on basically inside information.
And the other part of that, too, is even if they do it well enough, do the Bears even have the horses to match Tampa's talent and use that enough to their advantage? So it'll be interesting to see this weekend how that shakes out.
It'll be a good test for Chicago. Again, another team that seems to be on the rise. This week we'll find out.
True.
Miami and the Clippers.
Well, it'll be the Heat's debut this week, too, as they go to face the Clippers.
Exactly.
And Jay Cutler's debut from his no-year retirement.
That's right, Jay Cutler. Jay Cutler making his Miami debut. I sense pain in his future.
There may be.
I sense great pain.
That's interesting. He has had a good history with Adam Gase, but he's also had a history of not really winning.
I don't know. I think the Clipper defense are going to be very angry.
Yeah, I like the Clippers in this one too.
Yep. Next we have, oh my lord, the New York Jets and Oakland.
Woohoo!
This could also be a high school score here.
Oh, this is great. I mean, if the Jets win this game, I might have to go into hiding for a week in depression, see someone, talk to somebody. You might find me lying on the floor with drill from my mouth. There's no way Oakland should lose this game.
If Oakland loses this game, I think they're moving to Las Vegas on Monday.
Oh, yeah. They'll play in old Sam Boyd Stadium. Yeah.
They'll play in the T-Mobile Arena while they wait for their new stadium.
The Jets, oh, man, the Jets. What do you say about this team?
What can you say?
Yeah, nothing.
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 And that's what we're going to say.
Nothing.
Next, we have, once again, our favorite Washington Redskins and the LA Rams. Do we care about this game?
No.
Nope. Next, we have San Francisco, Seattle. Do we care about this game?
This should just be an epic beatdown.
You were mentioning that you thought that for this game, and only this game, a one-time special guest appearance by a certain NFL color analyst.
It won't happen, but I think this game is going to be such a crime to watch because Fox carries the NFC games, and I know everybody's favorite commentator, Phil Simms, is in the studio on CBS now, thankfully now the booth.
Excuse me while I get a bucket.
But I think as punishment for carrying this game, Fox should mandatorily have to trade for Simms to cover this garbage for 1 week. What an epic disaster of a game to have to watch. I don't even think commentators should have to be punished with this.
This is our consensus choice for must not watch TV.
Oh, yeah. The only people in this one who will enjoy it are the people in Seattle watching their team beat down the 49ers.
Pretty much.
Oh, man.
San Francisco fans, please don't even watch this game.
No. You deserve better. Everybody deserves better.
No one deserves to go through that much pain.
No.
Green Bay, Atlanta. Why do we care about this game?
This should be an interesting game. We'll get a better view, get a better barometer of both teams. Atlanta gets back home. There's a speed factor on the turf. Will it be better back at home? The Green Bay defense looked good, but is that the Seattle offensive line, or is the Green Bay defense actually improved? And interesting, talent's a whole different deal, but Rodgers faces the exact same defensive scheme for 2 straight weeks. Could help in preparation. I think this is going to be a very interesting game to watch, and I think there's a lot of good questions we'll have answered Sunday night.
Yep. Unlike some of the other must-miss TV on the schedule, this is one that actually would be must-see TV.
Yes.
2 strong teams, both coming off strong wins. One of them is not going to win.
This is the anti-Cincinnati-Houston game.
Oh, there we go. Good thing it's on Sunday night then.
Yes, and not Thursday night.
And for the Monday night game, we finished the week off with Detroit, New York Giants. New York Giants, they might as well be the Jets the way they score. Actually, the Jets outscored them last week.
Right now, the Jets' offense might look better than them.
I think the Jets got 12 points last week, right?
Yeah, somebody. It was 10 or 12. Yeah, they hit double digits.
Yeah, and the Gigantes at, 6?
Oh, they were fantastic.
So the Jets' offense is twice as good as the Giants' offense.
I mean, you could say the Giants' offense is actually explosive if you believe in, blowing something up in your own face.
Oh, that's like a chemistry experiment I did back in school.
Oh, fantastic. If Beckham's back, that makes a difference, but I still don't have the utmost confidence in that team.
The goofy thing is, we don't really care about this game.
Beckham or no Beckham.
We don't care.
Actually, as a matter of fact, that game just disturbs me so much, I might not even want to go straight home from work and just go somewhere to avoid accidentally seeing it on my TV. I might just go walk some neighbor's dog or something for something to do. I don't know.
No, well, yeah, that's a good idea. Walk your neighbor's dog, get a little exercise, fresh air.
Yeah,
meet your neighbors.
Mm-hmm.
Beautiful.
You better than watching that trash.
And that is our preview of week 2 of the NFL. Next, we have baseball. Who doesn't love baseball?
Everybody loves baseball.
The American pastime, national pastime, whatever. It's baseball. So, first on the docket, we have Cleveland. Everybody's talking about Cleveland. Everybody loves the Indians.
Cleveland rocks.
Cleveland rocks.
They've been amazing on this 21-game winning streak. They've the run differential over 21 games is over 100 runs. They've hit more home runs than they've given up runs. They've had more shutouts in this streak than 4 different teams have had during the entire season. They've been outright dominant. The weird thing is the attendance has been in the 20s, and back in the 90s they sold there's tons of games. So I don't know if it's an economic situation, Cleveland, if the economy's that bad there, if there's just a waning interest.
Everybody's buying Browns tickets.
Or maybe, yes, could be.
Boom, Browns. Browns are taken away from the Indians.
Plus, they might also be saving up for the last year of seeing LeBron live.
Oh, there's that. Yeah, Cleveland, attendance. That is strange. Team on a 21-game winning streak, you'd figure they'd be selling out everything.
Oh, you would think so.
Go figure.
Hopefully they show up for the playoffs.
Team that doesn't show up for the playoffs is the Washington Expos.
The Washington Expos. Everybody loves the Washington Expos.
Do they? I don't think
really.
People in Montreal beg to differ.
Oh,
the 20, 30 fans in Montreal. Cheers for myself included. I am an Expos fan.
Though I really hope Montreal gets a major league team again one day.
Do we think that Washington is for real this year?
Well, they're for real in the regular season. I don't think they're for real in the playoffs.
Really? You don't think their pitching is going to carry them through this time, finally, at long last?
Love their starting pitching. If the bullpen holds up, they could make it all the way. There's just something about this team. I'm big on history, and history just tells me this team always finds a way to lose in the playoffs.
This is definitely one of those teams that, just like Boston was for all those, what, 80 some years before they finally won their World Series, that they need some kind of like defining series that they need to fight through, and that'll finally be the thing that finally puts them over the edge and makes this team believe.
Mind you, with the Dodgers struggling like they are, if they see the Dodgers in the playoffs and knock them off, that could be it.
And interesting you should mention the Dodgers, because the NL West, the division where they're in, how much of an embarrassment is that division?
See, we're in disagreement here because Arizona has the third best record in the National League. Is it third or fourth? They're up there.
Mm-hmm.
I know your point is the Dodgers have lost
12 games, children.
They lost 12 games in a row at stretch.
Games in a row, and they're still 10 games up. How do you still be 10 games up after losing 12 in a row? What is Arizona doing? Are they just in the bathroom the whole time? Like, you have been granted the most openest of doors. It is not only open, they blew up the entire front of the house. Just walk in, take over first place, and they still don't do it.
Yeah, but the door was so far out down the road, and they didn't have gas to get there. And I mean, let's look at some of the other divisions where the Dodgers would have blown this lead.
Oh my goodness.
So let's see. The Dodgers right now, after their epic 12-game losing streak, and I believe they've lost 15 of the last 17. That's just, and even after that, I'm taking a look.
Even Abysmal thinks that's abysmal.
Right now, if they were in the American League East, they would be 11 up there, roughly 11 up there. Actually, they would still be up on Cleveland.
Don't even say such things.
I just said it.
You can't say that.
They wouldn't be up on Cleveland for long, though.
It's different divisions. It's different game.
Okay, well, in the National League,
the NL West,
they would still be up on the Washington Expos by, well, not by 10, but by, let's see, about 5? Yeah, 4.5. They'd be 4.5 up on the Expos there.
Blasphemy.
Yeah, but it's fact. They'd even be up like 15 on my Cubs.
Arizona?
14.5. No, the Dodgers. We up 14.5 on my Cubs.
I thought we were talking about Arizona.
No, I'm just talking like everyone else. Those are division leaders that the Dodgers would still be up that far on.
The other teams would have found a way to make it up.
Have you watched the NL Central this year?
Except for the Cubs.
Yeah.
Speaking of the NL Central.
Oh, man.
How much more suckage do they have?
You want to talk about disappointment? The Cubs haven't played up to their ability. St. Louis contends every year, but they're only contending this year because they're in the NL Central.
And Milwaukee is playing exactly the way they do every year.
Which is good enough to keep them in the race this year.
They're 76 and 69, and they're only 2.5 games out of first.
Mm-hmm.
And this is basically the same record they have every year, whereas every other year, they're usually 20 games out of first by now.
And yet the wacky thing with this division is if Chicago or St. Louis gets in, even though they're having off years, the Cubs with their playoff history and St. Louis just knowing how they stay and stuff could still legitimately do damage in the playoffs if they get in.
St. Louis is like that one experienced veteran boxer that just hangs in, and if you don't finish them off, they're going to find a way to win that match.
Yeah.
So you got to kill St. Louis fast, early, get them out of the playoff contention, because if you let them get in the playoffs, it's like any man with 2 fists
has a chance.
Has a chance.
Has a fighting chance.
Has a fighting chance.
Yeah, you need to cut the head off that snake or you will get bit.
Speaking of boxing, takes us to our next segment. Apparently have a big fight this weekend.
A big fight.
The latest fight of the century.
A legitimate big fight.
That is true. This one is will actually be a competitive fight where actually anyone can win. For those of you who haven't been following, and where in the name of the Almighty have you been? Obviously not at Cleveland games. This weekend we have Canelo versus Golovkin. 2 great white hopes finally getting together and fighting for the fight of the century. The fight of the year should be the fight of the decade, actually.
It should be. There haven't been a lot of real high profile. Well, there was a high profile fight recently, but really that was more profile than.
The money fight.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So the title alone tells us what that fight was all about.
It was about the money.
It was about the money.
Yeah.
Now this one, it's also about the money because somebody gonna get paid.
Mm-hmm.
But we have Canelo Alvarez, who's like one of the top ranked fighters in, well, definitely in our era and of actually any era, fighting against Gennady Golovkin, who basically became a world champion pretty much usually when boxers' careers start to wind down. That's when his start to wind up,
Mm-hmm.
in his early 30s. So in this match, we have an interesting fight because both are coming in, strong fighters, good records, both with knockout power, especially Golovkin.
Mm-hmm.
He has got just dynamite in his hands. And that is a guy that, just like we talked about the Cardinals, do not let this guy hang around the fight.
Mm-hmm.
Usually he doesn't. Usually he finishes a fight within 1 minute.
Mm-hmm.
But that's a guy that if you allow him to stick around, one punch, you're not paying attention, it's over. Now the other interesting factor in this fight too, what will the age play a factor? We have Canelo at 27 years old versus Golovkin at 35. Will this actually make a difference?
Actually, here's another place I wonder. Sorry to interrupt you.
Mm-hmm.
If it'll make a difference, because I heard someone talking about this on a different show earlier today. Because there's been talk, and you'd know more about this than I would, that Alvarez may be a future face of boxing. And if it goes to the judges and it's a close decision, just the business end of it in the face of boxing, could the decision go to Alvarez?
Dr. Evil?
Could it be more important for Golovkin to actually have to finish Alvarez off so it doesn't go to the cards, or convincingly beat him if it gets to the cards?
Are you saying that boxing judging is not always trustworthy?
Yeah, kind of like the NBA.
Not quite sporting?
Kind of like the NBA.
Oh, the NBA is so bad. They only had refs that actually fixed matches.
I'm saying not so much the fix, but just the subconscious saying if it's close enough, would it be better for the sport? Might be.
Oh, if Canelo has decided to become, if they have decided that he is going to be the pretty boy of boxing, I don't think there's any subtle or subliminal about it.
So very important for Golovkin to finish him off before the cards, or make it extremely convincing heading to the cards at the very least.
I think it would have to be I think it would have to be so mind-numbingly convincing that Canelo would actually have to be carried out of the ring.
So basically, don't even let it get to the judges.
Don't let it get to the judges. And to end off our show, we have our weekly epic and suck moment of the week. Buddy, I'll leave it to you. What is your epic and your suck of the week?
Well, I wanted to say my epic moment would be the Raiders, but then it would be that every week they win, so I'm not going to go there. It's a toss-up. There's a couple for me. Right. One of them, you got to give props to Cleveland for what they've done.
The Brownies?
Actually, no.
The Indians.
The Tribe. 21 in a row and just dominant in that
Beautiful.
21-game winning streak. Another kind of consolation shout out. I'm glad to see Jay and Dan back on TSN.
Oh, yeah.
Absolutely fantastic. Epic suck of the week. Somebody hand Chuck Pagano a schedule. Somebody tell him where he is and who he's playing. Does he even know where he is? Should someone lead him by the hand somewhere? Somebody help this man. It's bad enough they have no talent. Yeah, that's just a mess.
Basically, you know that not only did his team check out, he checked out in that game.
Yeah, that's not good when your coach checks out. You want to talk about the epitome of leading it by example? That's just not good.
So my epic and suck of the week is, as you know, I'm a soccer fan. Mm-hmm. Love the beautiful game. The other football, mm-hmm. for all of our friends out there.
The actual more popular worldwide football.
Oh, don't tell that to our friends in the good old US of A.
Well, funny enough, hardly enough will be listening for us, so we don't have to duck anywhere yet.
Nice. Although MLS is making a statement. They're coming up.
That's good to know, too.
But my epic of the week is that the Champions League has returned. The greatest club soccer tournament in the world is back For those of you unaware, the Champions League is a European soccer tournament where you literally pit the best teams, the top teams of every single country in Europe in one big giant tournament against each other. It is literally a battle of the best versus the best. It's back. Happiness and joy. My suck of the week is that the Champions League is back.
You're a man of mixed emotions.
Because my team from Portugal, Benfica, kicked off another marvelous Champions League by losing 2-1 at home to a Russian team from Moscow. Not only is Russia supposedly fixing elections in the U.S., they're also beating up on my team. So once again, my team starts another Champions League season with hope and optimism that is crushed, dashed, and diced in game 1. Basically, the Champions League is already over for Benfica. There's no point playing the other 5 games.
And not surprisingly, our first show starts with the mind and inner conflict.
This will be a running theme.
For both of us.
And that wraps up our show. Thanks for listening. Body, thanks for being part of the show.
Thanks for being hosting me, Mind. And mind and body together will get it done.
Remember, stay tuned for future episodes of the Body and Mind Sports Show. Thanks for listening.
Thank you. Bye.